story is already being told.
I remember you walked in and I just looked at you and I was like, she's a vibe.
What comes out of your mouth and what you're wearing, I'm not so sure is angelic, but
I'm going to do what needs to be done so I can feel.
Mashallah, you are so beautiful, you're so kind, you're so elegant.
Even the supervisor was like, Joe, your cheeks are pink.
People will dislike things about you because it's missing inside of them.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know everything.
Anybody who's feeling that build up right now, it is your body's way of saying,
I am going to do something that creatively feeds my soul.
if you're in pain, there is healing.
Oh, people are gonna say I'm fat and that's so mean on the internet.
And we, as humans, are making ourselves sick.
What is your take on evil eye?
If you have an evil eye in your house to protect you from evil,
I'm so excited for my no escape and safeness.
you're in there for life.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Press Pause with Jouhayna. On today's episode, I have Dawn Appel. She is somebody that I met at a breakfast when I went to go socialize and come out of my little bubble and not press pause, but press play. And it was a privilege to meet you. And I only shoot one guest per month and I already shot my guest of the month. And when I met you, I was like, I'm going to make an exception and make the time for us to have this shoot.
Bless. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you. I mean, this is how the divine guidance works.
Yeah. And I'm
We're
really
meant to be
happy
that.
that we met that day because I remember you walked in and I just looked at you and I was like, she's a vibe. And then and there's so many people in and out. And then you came and you sat next to me. I was like, I love it.
So when I walked in, actually, did you not realize that I was going to be sitting with you?
No, I didn't know.
You just saw me come in.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah,
because,
so your energy must have already connected to me and gone, "Hassan, come and sit here."
yeah. It's like, manifest it.
Yeah.
There she is.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
love it.
That
No,
was
I
the
love
first impression I had. I was just like, oh, she's a vibe. And I remember Kelly was on the show as well. She was like, oh, I really want you to meet Dawn.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, cool. So before I knew you were Dawn, I was already like, this is somebody I want to like have a chat with. And then you came in and you sat next to me.
Mashallah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You see, we're already inviting things before we know it.
Mm.
The story is already being told
Yeah,
before we even met.
exactly.
Mhm.
And I wrote this cue card so people can know real quick who you are. So you're the founder of AIA Motivation,
Mhm.
the creator of the Antithesis Realignment,
Good job.
and your work with mind realignment, manifestation, and motivational mentoring.
Yes.
So anybody tuning in, Dawn is a vibe. That's why it was very important for us to do this in-person conversation. This is as close as you're going to get to her unless you reach out to
before
work with her.
as
Yeah.
well. I leave in a few days.
Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned for what's to come, but we're going to do a quick rapid fire round so you can know Dawn a little bit more. So just tell me the first word to pop into your head when I say a certain word.
Okay. Love this.
And I knew you would vibe with this so hard because even when we were on our call to prepare for the episode, you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to tell you, but
We're just going to angel wing it.
Exactly. We're going to angel wing it. That's actually why I wore white today because
I love it. You look like an angel.
you send me emojis that are angel wings.
Mhm.
And I was like, when I was choosing my abaya this morning, I was like, I'm going to go with white.
That's my signature. It's my sign off. And just like, okay, there's Dawn.
Yeah.
And I changed what's in between. And now it's currently a fairy.
I love that.
Yeah, some fairy dust in there. No, you did. When you opened up the door, and I thought, oh my gosh, you look like an angel. So it worked.
You know, I'm going to actually wear this on my next stand-up set that I do. Just because it'll be very unexpected for me to say the things that I say.
What comes out of your mouth and what you're wearing, I'm not so sure is angelic, but still, this is a world of art.
Yeah, well, it is.
Whatever you believe.
So we're going to go with this 1-minute sound timer to do the
Okay.
rapid fire round.
Okay,
Ready?
okay.
And happy place.
Myself.
Oh, I love that. Board game.
Jenga.
Aroma.
Vanilla.
Dream job as a kid.
Oh my gosh, dream job as a child. I'm not even sure. I was a born actress.
Yeah.
I was literally, I used to worship Dolly Parton. I used to sing country music and think I was American.
Oh, I love that. Phone application.
Phone application?
Mhm.
What's phone application?
Like, you know, on the phone, what app do you like using the most?
Oh, my favorite app on my phone. Probably InShot.
Oh, okay. Breakfast.
Eggs.
Bucket list item.
Bucket list I've done so many things in my life, bucket list items.
Mashallah.
I'm so
What was your
blessed.
favorite thing to do from that list?
It is travel and take on different cultures. I love it.
I love
to
that.
be able to travel and see the things in different sites.
Okay, so then the next one, destination.
Preferred destination or dream destination?
Well, whatever comes to your heart.
Well, I think I've already done it. And it was in Borneo, and I got to work with underprivileged families who've never heard of electricity. And I honestly, not to say that there's nothing else to do out there, but I've worked with a lot of underprivileged charities. But I'm open to do a lot more. Very blessed on that. Yeah, that was they're interesting actually, just to think of. It gives you food for thought.
It does.
Oh my gosh, I operate from a place of no limit, which means I have everything, I've done everything, but there's still more to do, and there's still much more to have, and there's still much more to be. But it's never to dream about what I haven't done. It's to dream about what I'm doing,
and be present.
Be very, very present. Yeah. So I love that. I love the thought that's going into that. Let me just think. So I've been to so many countries. I've traveled so much.
And can you tell us more about the work that you do and how you got into that work?
My whole life from the age of 2 was destruction, sadness, pain, abandonment, abuse. But I was always, like I said, as a little girl, I was always happy, even though inside I must have been completely tormented. Because I was abandoned, because I was physically abused, because I was molested, and so on. And then I had body parts removed and I died. You, as a happy person, as a happy little girl, and you just sing, your Dolly Parton songs and, it's okay, I got this, I'm fine. That intolerance will catch up with you eventually. And in 2012, I realized, and I was living in Dubai, and I realized I was getting agitated with everybody. Everyone annoyed me. Everything upset me. It was just like everything was screaming loud. And I was blaming people for how I felt. And I still remember the day that I stood there and I just said, hold on. There is nothing wrong with anybody. There is something wrong with me. And this is how intentional I am. I decided that day to sit down and take one of my Dr. Wayne Dyer books and made a life-changing decision to spend 2 hours. Everything is in twos with me. Everything is about balance. Spend 2 hours every day for 2 years and recondition my whole conscious awareness, recondition how I saw things, recondition how I felt about things, slow down and start literally thinking about what's coming out of my mouth and mind. And 2 years of that, mind realignment. But during that, I did pick up, I was very, very blessed to do all this work virtually with Dr. Wayne Dyer. But I picked up on a lot of motivational speakers who would tell people what not to do. Like, you shouldn't do this, you should stop this. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense, because we are constantly operating from a place where we're planting seeds, emotional seeds. And in 2015, I created the Antithesis Realignment Technique, which meant everything is on a spectrum. So it's like the pendulum. If there's a problem, it means there's the solution. So instead of ignoring the problems that we're carrying, I would invite people, because I can only work with intentional people. I cannot convince them to do it. They have to be ready. So I would invite people to go into the problems, and I would make them a promise. I would say this. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to take you into the most pain you've ever felt. But you are going to feel incredible afterwards. And your mind and your perception of your life is going to be so, so different. So creating this Antithesis Realignment Technique was now teaching people a really integral part of how they can operate differently. And then working with, all different kinds of people. I have some success stories, but my sessions are very, very private. They're very confidential, but there are some success stories that I can always share. And there's one of my clients, he did 8 sessions, and he came to me and he was just so mad at the world. And I said, okay, we're going to go into this. No, but it's because of them. It's because of this. Complete blame game. And then when we went through all of his sessions, my sessions are between 2 and 3 hours. And at session number 8, I said, okay, tell me what happened this week. And he said this: you won't believe it, Dawn. Nothing happened this week. And I sat there and I said, amazing. The same things happened, but you changed the way you looked at things. And he said, oh my gosh, it happened. It worked. I did it. And his whole life changed.
That's huge.
It is. And the principle is the same, no matter whether you're in love. And I would like our stories to cover a lot of love today, whether it's health. I died, so I'm the living testimony that you have the power over death. Whether it's success, whether it's your work, whether it's your dreams, the principle is the same. So what I do now is I work one-on-one and I work with groups, and I teach them how to recondition your conscious belief system from habitual programming, from generational trauma, from obviously pain that's built up over your life, and teach people how to precondition the subconscious belief system and operate from a place of a very new perception.
Wow.
I want to actually do something with you. We will do a drawing maybe, but let me do a little perception test with you.
Do you want to do it right now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I have my unicorn pen that you love so much.
No need to write this one down. No, you're just going to think about this one.
Okay.
We will do one later on. No, we'll do it afterwards with your unicorn pen.
Okay.
The first one is, if you're in a room with 2 people and one of them says to you, oh my gosh, mashallah, you are so beautiful. You're so kind. You're so elegant. And the other one says, you're really annoying. And I think you're really kind of bad-mouthed and potty-mouthed. And I'm not really a fan of you. Who do you listen to?
I would listen to both, but I would, because there's 2 sides to everyone, right? So I would actually listen to both, but then I would ask myself, does the person who has something bad to say to me inspire me? And if the answer is no, bye. And I would listen to the person who gave me the compliment more. So who would you listen to? It's a choice here. Oh, I have to choose? Oh, I was like, I thought it's like a, I think what would stay with me more is the negative comment.
Okay, that's interesting. I love how you narrated your way around it. So you shouldn't listen to either of them. I said to you, you're in a room with 2 people. There's 3 people in this room.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you listen to?
I should listen to myself.
Listen to yourself. But your response to both of them, very similar to what you said, the response to both of them should be the same. Thank you and thank you. You have just told me what you recognize in me, and you've just told me what I can improve about myself.
Yeah.
It's genius. So, but the perception that you've just said, first of all, you overcomplicated it because you went into
story of my life.
And I'll gravitate to this. But it is important also that you understand that perception based on coming from other people. If somebody sees you negative, the perception of them is literally what is inside of them. The quote I heard this morning, it was impeccable, and I'm putting it into a video from my social media, but people will dislike things about you because it's missing inside of them. People will dislike everything about you that they haven't got inside. Because whoever is projecting out something negative or something upsetting or something hurt, that's actually telling me that they need help. Not for us to perceive them as being annoying and rude and aggressive and nasty. They have been building up some issues inside of themselves and they can't recognize. It's all frequency. It's all vibration. And this is literally what I do, operating from a state of vibration of, hey, I would like for you to speak the same language as me. I would like for you to understand what I'm saying. And this is why people feel very calm around me, because I operate from this wonderful place. With your pen, okay, ready?
Yeah.
Another one now, so you know not to overcomplicate it, so keep with it. So there is a wall, and you have to get to the other side of it. Can you draw your wall for me? Okay, now give me the dimensions of that wall.
I don't know why 2 comes to mind.
2 what?
2 and 2, 2 meters.
2 meters and 2 meters. Now, how do you get to the other side of it?
Teleport. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What if I told you that the wall that I had in my head was just 2 Lego bricks and it was only this and you just needed to step over it? But your mind, because you're creative, you decided to build a 2-meter wall and a 2-meter wall. But some people, when I do this, they build the biggest walls. And I'm like, wow, this is really telling me how you perceive things as being a challenge, as being in the way. Because I didn't tell you what size the wall was.
Yeah.
You perceived it as being 2 meters. The best one I had was when I asked somebody and I said, how do you get to the other side? And she said, I'll break through it. And I was like, wow, you're using a lot of energy.
I was like, I'm just going to use my brain. I'm just like,
so that's the right answer. I'm just on the other side already. But also, it allows me to understand how your brain works, because it's like, okay, she sees things in the way because it's not in the way. I would say, well, the wall is so small, I'll just step over it because I didn't tell you the size.
Yeah.
It allows me to really understand how my client is going to start seeing things. So in a nutshell, perception game. Everything is energy, everything is frequency, everything is vibration. Einstein said, future medicine is frequency. And for me, vibration is a language that we must practice. People coming to do sessions with me, it's impactful during the session, but you have to practice. So if I said to you, maybe your mum would understand this one, but if I said to you, Kalaisi, tikanes kala, you would say, because unless you spoke Greek, you wouldn't know what I'm saying. And that's the same as a vibrational language. We're operating from a place of tuning in. So if you're not tuned in, someone's here on a low, upsetting vibration, and you're here, these two people can't connect at all. And that's why you find people drifting apart as well.
And for people who may not fully get it, what would your definition of vibration and energy be for people to understand that?
I mean, we go back to the old-fashioned radios. If you tune into a radio station or even a digital one and you go to 454 hertz, you're going to be able to listen to what they're playing. But if you, on the same unit, you would like to listen to something else, you have to tune in to a different station. You can't actually tune into both stations at once unless you have 2 different devices. So in order to communicate, hear, correspond, deliver information, it's about operating from the same level of frequency or vibration. You cannot hear if you're listening to another channel. So it's all about channeling in. It's all about connecting. The energy is obviously connection. We are synergistically, symbiotically reciprocating the same energy as what is showing up. We are energetic inviters, basically. We're inviting what is showing up in our lives. It didn't just show up accidentally. I didn't just sit there accidentally. You invited it. So did I. We invited us to be there. So that's frequency. People will say to me, well, what do you do when somebody angry shows up? I said, well, first of all, it's really very rare because I know that everything is showing up as a result of what I'm transmitting out in frequency form. But if they did, I have a 3-question rule. I say, what did I do to attract that? What am I learning from it? Now, how do I change it? Or how can I help them? Because frequency, people are automatically, unfortunately, people gravitate to negativity like you just did. You're going to connect automatically. I will tell you, oh my gosh, Jo, you are so amazing. I love what you're doing. You're very intentional. You're ambitious. You dress like an angel. You're absolutely gorgeous, but I cannot stand your feet. What are you going to remember?
The feet.
And this is so unfortunate. But I just told you 10 amazing things. But that's what people do. But if people come up to me and say, Dawn, thank you, you're amazing and you're wonderful and you're so kind, but we think you're a little bit rude, I would say, thank you. Because that gives me something to think about. I wouldn't ever take offense to it. I will say it. That's a message. It's not, why did this happen? What is it teaching me? So frequency is literally, it's a language vibration.
Okay. And would you say that you always felt the frequency and this language? Or is it something that you tuned into after you started doing the work?
Without going into too much detail that people wouldn't really understand at this point, but as a little girl, even though I was in this very destructive environment, people would always say, ask Dawn. She's lucky. She always gets things right. So they would say to me, oh, what do you think about this? And I'd say, oh, it's there, or do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I just knew things. And yeah, I knew before I knew.
You knew before you knew.
I knew I was able to work with people because I would, being an extreme empath, I'm empathic, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to breathe. And I remember sitting there with a friend of mine, and this is where I was 24 and it all really started. But I sat there and I held her hand and I said, come on, it's good. And I'm a positive. I pull out negativity and I replace it with positivity. No, I just sat there and I was holding her hand and saying, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Come on, I'm going to make sure. And I couldn't breathe. I was like, it was like I was exhausted. And she was like, oh, I feel good now. And I was like, oh, that was an energy exchange if you ever saw one. But I didn't do anything about it. I didn't know that I was able to really, because I wasn't mentally prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared until 2012, where I had to learn a lot about myself.
Yeah, exactly. And with the mind realignment manifestation and the motivational mentoring that you do, let's say somebody out there right now is feeling a little bit lost in life and not sure what to do. What would be tips that you could give them just to help them realign?
Importantly, I love it when somebody is aware that they need change, that they need to make a shift, because that's already started. So without people understanding, like I said to you, there's an awakening happening right now. Astrologically, energetically, there's a huge awakening that the planets are aligning in such a way that it's impacting us. So whenever somebody is sitting there thinking something doesn't feel right, I feel like I just need to go into silence. I feel that's really noisy. It means you're already starting your transition. Go into a place of silence. Start practicing breathing exercises. Go into a place of darkness, because I always say you can see everything in darkness. Close your eyes. You can visualize anything. Go into a place of silence and hear what are the words, what are the messages, what are the energies, what are the emotions. Listen and hear, and you will receive guiding information. Silence is important. Solitude is important. A lot of people look to seek pleasure or distractions or deflections to deviate away from what's happening in their life. And me personally, again, another quote which I heard, I had to heal from so many versions of myself that I created to survive. But, you know, I created a new version. I can handle rape. I can handle abandonment. I can handle abuse. I can handle having my face beaten. I can handle someone taking everything from me. I can handle someone passing away. I can handle death. That's a new version. But they build up. We're like a volcano. They build up. So anybody who's feeling that build up right now, it is your body's way of saying, we now need to offload. Because this is what I do. We are going to now extract all the toxins, extract all the negative behavior, extract all of the suppressed emotions, the ingrained suppressed feelings and sadness and pain. And it's not nice to go through it. And I'm not even going to beat around the bush. It's a painful process. But during that painful process, as Lao Tzu would say, every beautiful beginning is disguised by a painful ending at some point. Even what people see, the what's it called, the caterpillar, others see as a butterfly.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Every ending, every closing has an opening. We are living in a spectrum world. If you're in pain, there is healing. If you're sad, there is happiness. If there's an up, there's a down. It's a pendulum life. What comes in goes back out, and so on and so on. So the advice is seek help. see people, see professionals, sit in silence, talk to people that you trust. Because that's important. You find that if you're talking to people, like we said earlier, if you say to somebody, oh, this is what I'm feeling right now, and they're feeling the same, their response would be, oh, just ignore it.
Yeah, most of the time.
It's unhealthy. We have to face this. It's your body's way of saying, hey, help me, please.
Yeah.
I can't handle this anymore. So, and it's demonstrated in anger, upset, people going into doing things, using substance, using any form of deflection, using attention from others, anything to take the attention off what's happening to me. So it's about healing from those versions of yourself.
That's so true. And would you say that there's a correlation between the increase in cancer and autoimmune diseases and everything because of the suppression of these trapped emotions?
Yes, I mean, I'm not a physician or a doctor in that aspect, but I am living testimony that we have full control over our DNA, and we as humans are making ourselves sick because of stress, because there is no stress in the world. Humans create stress. We are making ourselves sick because there is a dis-ease in the body.
Yeah.
And if you activate the dis-ease, how it comes out is different. Like I said, everything I teach, I've had to prove it.
Yeah.
I've had to prove it. How do I know that we have full control over our DNA? I've done it. Like I said, I was in hospital, and when I had 8 units of blood in me, 6 of them were blood poisoning. And it was for 2 weeks statistically proven that blood poisoning, septicemia, it can last a matter of hours and days in the body. But I knew something was up, but I would say to myself all the time, oh, I'm fine. I'm healthy. I made my cells believe that the sick cells were actually healthy. So they were like, oh, we thought we were sick. No, you have full control over healing. And when I had my tumor removed, and this is a statement I've made many, many times, why did I get my tumor? I know why. Everything that's ever occurred to me really is around my uterus because of my unhappy childhood and destructive childhood. I had set this belief in my system to think it's not healthy to be a child in the world. Therefore, how can I bring a child in the world? I'd created the sickness, precancer, ectopics, blood poisoning, adenomyosis, endometriosis, fibroids, till this tumor became melon size. And in the end, they had to remove it. And my doctor said, it'll take you 6 weeks to heal. And I said, thank you, but you have no right to tell me how long it takes me to heal. Watch this. So 6 weeks, as the doctors have to say, but people have now programmed themselves to think, oh, the doctor just said, I will heal in 6 weeks. Programming. So in 1 week passes, I got another 5 weeks. 2 weeks past, I've got another 4 weeks. You're actually telling your body to stay sick.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, here's what I'll do. I'm already healed. I got scars, and I did my first video. It's on my social media. Very swollen, not attractive. I said, it's day number 3. I'm in healing, and I'm smiling, and I'm sending messages to my body that I'm already healed. Day number 5, I go for a walk with my gorgeous little dog, and I bumped into a man who needed healing. He needed some advice. And I'm like, okay, I need to lay down, but no, I'll send a message to my body. I'm healed. And in 10 days, I had fully healed. I drove across America. I was fully healed. 10 days. It was from the 13th of June to the 23rd of June on my birthday. And I drove, and I was fine. So yes, the same energy, actually less energy. It takes less energy to be healthy than it does to be sick. You use up more of your energy, which redirects cells to your body to say, I'm sick. Your body isn't actually sick when you receive the notifications. You're receiving information to say, hi, there's something wrong. Now we need to go into healing because the sickness has already been there. Now we have to redirect our attention. Wherever it's been, I'm like, okay, thank you for making me aware. Now I know to put healing to it. So yes, and there's been proven stories. Anita Munjari, she was dying of full body cancer, and she decided to go back into her body, into a coma, and heal herself 60%, heal herself, all by redirecting the information we're sending to ourselves. We're made up of subatomic cells. We are not disconnected. We are connected to everything that gives us life. The mind is not in the body. The body is in the mind, and it's going to respond to the information we give it. So yes, we can make ourselves well from the information we send ourselves.
Wow. You know, I went to Umrah recently with my mom and my best friend Sarah, and they both got really sick. And for the longest time after COVID, I was sick. Every week, something or the other would come up. And this time, and they always said, they're like, oh no, we can't be around Jo if we're sick because she'll fall sick so quickly. Her immune system is down, blah, blah, blah.
Sending it out there.
Exactly. So then I said, I'm like, I refuse. I refuse to fall sick with both of you, you know, and I have been taking care of my health. Like even when I took you on a baby tour of the house, you know, you noticed the ice bath and the plans I have for my recovery room. And I was like, I refuse to fall sick. And even around at work, you know, most of the gentlemen I work with, they've got so many different children and, you know, the kids go to school, bring the germs, everyone's sick at work. And I was like, I refuse. Even with my dust. So I have an allergy to dust, dogs, and cockroaches, which I know sounds really random, but cockroaches go and die in dark corners and then disintegrate into the air. So you're breathing in those particles. So I was so allergic to being in my own space, and it was triggered even more harshly after my divorce, because I then found out working with my life coach that grief is caught in your lungs. And I was like, no more. So I decided that I'm going to tell myself that that's it. And then I also found a doctor who's really amazing, who's helping me with the dosages. And he's like, we're going to put you on the lowest dose, even though I think you need more. I'm like, I just need something to hold me over. And I found that I had asthma, which I didn't even know was a thing that I was experiencing. So I went on the lowest dose. I took everything. And they said to me, they're like, oh, it's going to take a couple of months until you can breathe around your dogs. Like, it's really unexpected. I was like, no, first injection, first week, I'm going to feel better. And, you know, now people don't even believe I have an allergy because I've decided, yes, I'm taking the medications, but I am on the lowest dose and I can breathe around my boys, my dogs. So
this is a programming. So this is the definition of the Antithesis Realignment Technique. It's a programming. Whenever you say the affirmation, like, when I am sick, you're sending the information. And as well, when somebody else says, oh my gosh, she will get sick, and say, no, thank you. I would always say to people, like, when I tell the stories, no need to send me sorrow, because we're reciprocators. What you're sending out is also what's coming back. And I do not need it. But that programming, I am allergic to this, you're confirming it. You're literally the allergy to cockroach. No. Everyone's allergic to cockroach because they carry disease, of course. It's like a known thing. So the antithesis from saying I'm allergic to, I have asthma, I'm allergic to cockroaches, I'm allergic to pollen or dust or anything, is to say, I basically know to redirect where I am. I put myself in a different place and I am healthy. That is one of the most powerful affirmations anyone can use. I am healthy. I did it for years, I would say, because obviously being an empath, I would take on people's emotions, people's sicknesses. And I would say, and it goes straight to my throat, oh, you can't come near me because I'll get sick. I had been programming it. I literally had been programming myself to get a throat infection. My whole life, I wanted a singing career. Maybe that was what my previous thoughts were, to be a singer. And I was supposed to meet with somebody, and someone got a throat infection, and I got sick because I said, oh no, I'm going to have your throat infection. And then they cancelled the meeting, and I was like, oh my gosh, it devastated. My singing career is over. Not really a great singer, but I can sing Happy Birthday great. But that's because I invited it. This is an energy invitation. I have had people come to me and say, oh, Dawn, I'm dyslexic. I'm like, let me just check. Oh, no, you're not. I am allergic to A, B, C, D, E. I have cancer. I am bipolar. I have ADHD. One of my favorite ones, I'm not book smart. And I'm like, no, it's not true. You are programming yourself. Your cells are now responding to whatever it is you're sending yourself. It's not because you're not book smart. It's because you're not interested in it. It's not because you're allergic to it. It's because it doesn't agree with you. You prefer to be in a healthy environment. That's what your body's telling you. To be around, some people have reactions to pollen, like real reactions to pollen, and brings out their asthma. Okay, well, it's telling you, it's not meant to aggravate you. It's your body's way of responding, saying, hey, you just put something inside of us, or you just put us in a place where we didn't enjoy it. So redirect away from it, not to feed it with medicines.
Yeah.
It is all in your mind. Living proof. I cannot say it enough. Living proof. I had a spider bite, almost lost my leg. And I would say, no, my leg is fine. My leg is fine. It was getting bigger and bigger. And I eventually went to the hospital, and the nurse said, you could have lost your leg. And I said, but I didn't. Because if I thought I would, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today. And I'm sitting on an operating table dying. And the doctor said, you passed away 3 times during the operation, and we couldn't bring you back. But you kept coming back. So I'm like, yeah, because I had to keep going back in, because I was removing myself from the pain. And I would go into this place of, la la land, which I live in. And I'd have to go back into the painful body and reconnect. And that's why. So I'm living proof that our DNA responds to us. If you say you have an allergy, if you say you have an intolerance, if you say that you have something or some dis-ease, you're telling your body to respond to it, and so it will remain. You haven't got anything unless you believe you do, unless you can give it consent.
That's so true, because I remember I've been on my weight loss journey and, getting my health back. And part of getting my health back was to lose the excess weight. And I remember I was on Mounjaro for a while, and it just stopped working. And I was on the highest dose, and I was really messing around with my food as well. Like, I wasn't consistent, and I wasn't working out, and I was almost abusing the medication because I was taking it but not doing what's needed to gain the optimal results. And I remember I had gone in for a check-in with the doctor, and I hadn't lost any weight. And I was like, you know what? I just don't care anymore. I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm going to enjoy eating what I want to eat, stopping to eat if I don't feel like it anymore. And then that's it. And for months, I was in the struggle to try to lose the weight. And then I would lapse because I would emotionally eat, This time, I think I ate, in air quotes, so much more, and not the healthiest food, and all my intolerances as well that they told me I had. And I went back and I lost 2 kilos. And I was like, what?
Placebo.
It's all about what I was telling my body. And
it's the placebo effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just decided, I was like, that's it. I'm not going to allow this to hold itself over me. And even now I've gotten off Mounjaro and the GLP-1 medications I was on before that. And at first, I was really stressed. Like, I have to lose the weight. I've got my medical coming up. And if I don't lose enough.
It on yourself.
I know, I really did. For the longest time. And I decided.
It's weight. It's like, huh.
Yeah, that's why I have this awful knot in my shoulder. And I know it's like, even the women who massage me every week, they're just like, ma'am, what do you do? I'm like, can't help it.
I said it all here.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta go.
So I decided that I'm going to do what needs to be done so I can feel better and think better and move better. And I owe that to myself. And the way that I'm losing weight in such a nice way and feeling good in my body, and it's really helping with my mental health as well. Even though I went through a really brutal time for the last couple months, I bumped into a friend of mine when I was walking to the gym this morning, and they were like, you seem really okay. And I'm like, because I am. I've decided I'm good.
Choice.
That's it. And people now I'm at the 3-month mark since my divorce, because we're shooting this and we'll release it much later. But I was like, I'm just done being upset about this and sad, and I'm done.
You let go.
I let it go. And just the beauty of the little moments I've had with people, animals, children. Like, when I go out, I'm just bringing in so much more good. And I just feel that shift, and it just feels so light. Like, it literally feels like peace
It's a weight lift.
inside me.
It's
Yeah.
a weight lift.
And it's just so beautiful.
It is. And that's the thing. You're now inviting more of that.
Mm.
But if I said to you, here's a pill, and this will literally make you lose weight, and I didn't tell you what was inside, and all that's inside is green leaves. I mean, is natural, just herb.
Yeah.
But now you're programming yourself. This literally
the answer.
works. It's all placebo. I've had people after doing sessions, they will say, my gosh, I'm so fit and healthy. They will say, people are complimenting me from everywhere. They will say, I'm getting all this attention from the opposite sex. I'm like, yeah, because you have shifted an invisible energy that you've been carrying around you. And I was say, like, obviously anybody that's struggling with weight, when you go in the mirror, because you weren't born like this, when you go to the mirror, say, I see a healthy person in there, instead of seeing this aesthetical version of you and complaining about it and offending it. You're offending your reflection. And because when you offend yourself, you go into a comfort and where you have to eat or you carry stress. And instead of saying, you are absolutely beautiful and healthy, and I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds a little crazy to do mirror talk, but it works. I self-talk to my body, my hair, my skin. I'm 50 years old, and I speak to my skin. I speak to my hair. People think I've got hair extensions. It's all my hair. I speak to my skin all over my body. I speak to my organs. I'm so grateful for who I am, for everything. And I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm not able to complain. I'm just like, so you have full control at all times. CSA, constant state of awareness. This is what I teach. Constant state of awareness. What did I just think? Because if you knew that everything you say and everything you do and everything you feel is an invitation, you would start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Just like you're doing. So the antithesis of you saying, I'm not going to do that anymore is, this is what I am going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not bothered by it because I am more happier here. You use up much more energy to be negative and to be detrimental than you do to just say, halas. One of my favorite sayings. I mean, I use it everywhere in the world. Halas.
Yeah.
No one knows what I'm saying in America. Halas what?
Yeah.
But halas, let it go.
Yeah.
In the words of Frozen, let it go.
Let it go. Exactly.
Let it go. Be in flow. Glow. Be radiant. And people will come up to you and people will say, there's something different about you.
That's what I've been getting.
What do you reply?
Thank you.
Thank you. You recognize it.
Yeah.
I made a change mentally. Somebody asked me when I did those 2 years realignment, somebody said to me, but Dawn, what if you go back to the way you were? I said, it took me 2 years to get here. This practice becomes so permanent.
Yeah.
Practice. That's what it takes. You know, if you come for one session, you'll feel great, but you have to be consistent with it. And that's why following the main sessions, you do mentoring, accountability, you know, allowing yourself to be accountable. Okay, well, I had this emotion. What do I do with it? Okay, you know what to do with it, but allow me to navigate you. Win-win. It's practice.
Wow.
Practice, practice and placebo and everything P-based. So presentation, personality, perception, everything is perception. The only difference between a sad life and a happy life is the vibration. Is your perception.
Exactly.
So you decide, you perceive, how does your life look? How healthy is your life? Emotionally, mentally, psychologically, physically. How healthy is your life? You choose.
That's so true. And I do feel like, especially lately, I've really been feeling this shift in energy. And, you know, people I've known for over a decade, you know, my batchmates that I studied with, air traffic control, I saw one recently and he was working a shift with me. It's like, something's just so different about you. And I was like, I'm taking that as a compliment, you know, and the abaya is the same. You know, I've got my abayas for work. They're plain black, a material that I'm comfortable to like get stressed in. And, you know, I go with a bare face.
So you chose to get stressed.
And everything. Yeah.
You choose to get stressed.
Well, you know,
You just literally said, I'll wear my abaya, the black one, so I can get stressed in it. Why?
So before, when I used to wear like, so this piece has embroidery on it, I would be more aware of it touching my skin when the stress does come, when I'm working as an air traffic controller. So
You mean stress from the job?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you know, there are certain, like, it is known to be one of the most stressful jobs in the world for a reason. So
yes.
I found it as a place of solace since my divorce, because at first I was like, oh, I'm stressed at work, I'm stressed at home. And, you know, then I was like, no. Then after the divorce, I was actually really pleasantly surprised that I found a lot of peace and solace at work because it's controlled chaos. I know exactly what I'm doing. I can get it done. You know, there are moments where I get really humbled. I've done it for 11 years, but still I'm just like, wow, that was really intense.
Yeah.
Like,
You're responsible for lives.
So it's really, really intense. Like last night I worked a shift and I remember when I left, even the supervisor was like, Joe, your cheeks are pink. And I was like, what? And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm a melanin child.
Blushed.
Like, what is, like, you know, my body reacted in that way. And I was like, and I kept telling her, I'm like, I'm good. She's like, are you sure you're good? Because you don't look really good right now. I'm like, I am good. I'm just going to go for a little walk outside, vent on social media, and then come back in and do it all over again. And that's exactly what I did. So in that moment, I acknowledged it. I'm like, all right, we're feeling this way, but we're choosing not to. And I had a 30-minute break, which is considered a shorter break because you're rostered certain time frames that you're working and you're off. Came in, I was like, right, ready to go. Khalas. Like, I am going to get the job done. And I think I had only like a 20-minute session and then it was home time. So I was like, all right, at 10:20 p.m. you can feel what you want to feel, but right now we have to compartmentalize and get this job done. And that's what I've also taught my students, because I'm an instructor as well. So I've taught my students to change their mindset. So I've had many students who've come to me and they've had like not the best time growing up, to put it delicately. And they're like, oh, I don't deserve to be here. Who am I to control the skies this way?
So sabotage.
And I said to them, I said, you know, the toxicity and the struggle that you went through as a child, and even now as an adult, because, you know, most of my students are Emirati and they would be living at home, you know, there are certain stressors. And I said, you know, the reason why you will succeed is because you know how to regulate dealing with the chaos. So over here, it's just structured chaos, you know? So when I had this, and I didn't even realize I was doing that with them until we started speaking now. And I tell them, I'm like, you have to come into work, and before you enter the gates of work, this was actually a tip I got from a previous instructor, and then I've passed it on to like my students. And there's a gate before we enter, and there's like a parking lot, a gate, and then parking lot to the building. And I say, before you enter this gate, you're going to visualize a box. And you're going to put everything that's bugging you, you know. For example, for me, I'll be like, oh, I was rushing this morning. I don't like how I feel. Put it in the box.
Love it.
Oh, when I was married, my ex-husband, ew, put him in the box. You know, oh, I'm worried about my aging dog. I know it's such a random thought, but I'm putting it in the box. Anything that'll distract me from getting the job done today. You're going to wrap this box. You're going to tape it up.
Box away.
And you're going to keep it there. And you're going to be like, bye-bye box. I'm not dealing with you right now. And as you walk through the gate of work, you're going to visualize, pick your favorite color or aura or whatever, and just let it cleanse you off that. And when you enter, all you care about are aircraft's procedures and not failing today, because I will mark you down if you're not ready.
And what is the antithesis of not failing?
Winning. So the shift I noticed in students, and I remember even if they're not working with me, they know it's a safe space to come to me. So I remember there was one student who was just going through a rough patch. It happens with everyone. You're like skyrocketing and then bam.
Yes, of course.
And then you decide if you're going to elevate or fail. So in that moment, when I notice it, I create a safe space enough for them to tell me, hey, Joe, I feel like I need to talk to you. We will literally just sit in my car because there isn't a room for that. And all the walls at work are like paper thin. So I'm like, come, let's sit in my car and let's have a chat. We'll have this chat. They'll go in and work the session. And I would get texts from the instructors. What did you do? They're a different person.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like even some students have come to me. They're like, I want to fail. No, what is it? I don't want to continue the program. I'm done. I'm good. And I'd let them finish speaking. And they're like, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, quit.
Yeah.
And when I say that, they're like, what do you mean? You're supposed to motivate me. I'm like, that's your job. Do you want this or not? I'm not here to be a cheerleader.
How much do you believe in yourself.
Exactly.
I love that technique, but please tell me they do not pick up the box as they leave.
So I tell them it's up to them what they want to do with the box when they've left work. So you finish your 8-hour shift. And actually, this is one tip I learned from Grey's Anatomy. It's such a random tangent. But I remember Meredith was like, I've got to finish this shift, and at I don't know what time, then I'm going to feel my feelings, you know? So that's something that I've incorporated into my day. So I tell the student, I'm like, all right, when you're leaving work, are you going to pick the box up, or are you just going to go and zen out? If you want to pick it, there's no judgment. You can go and like be with your feelings and all the things that distract you, or you could choose to leave it. And then add to the box the next day you come in for your shift because maybe something else popped up that you need to leave behind. And, you know, now it's become a very natural practice where I don't really think about it anymore. And for me, I add like a jam out sesh. So I shake it out.
I love that. I think if there's somebody within the workplace to sit with them for 10 minutes and say, what was in your box? And help them get rid of it. Would you like me to explain to you what stress is?
Yes, I would love that.
I mean, this is something you can use. You had already said that, you know, air traffic control is one of the most stressful jobs there is. So Navy SEALs and athletes use the box breathing technique. And the box breathing technique is used because of what causes stress, what causes frustration, what causes anxiety. It is not from the outside world. You are, because you're the most consistent person in your life, you wake up with you go to bed with you, and all your emotions are staying with you. You create this buildup of emotions. And the moment you go into a state of what we call panic, your brain and your body are communicating at all times. The moment you start to feel overwhelmed, we call it, which will create the stress, your body starts to overheat. Your blood starts to pump. Your heart starts to race. The brain now understands it's dangerous to communicate with the body, allowing this information, because you're obviously, your mind's made up of the hypothalamus, your hippocampus, your amygdala, your prefrontal cortex. Now, these can be damaged if you allow stress to go up. So the brain does something very, very simple. Shuts off oxygen. You know, you work in with airplanes. When you shut down oxygen, so now your brain is saving itself and saying, let the body manage itself. Your body is in overdrive. You can't think, you can't speak. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling stressed. Please do not talk to me. Leave me alone. And it's getting worse and it's worse and worse. The only thing that's happening is the oxygen disconnecting from the body. So what do Navy SEALs do, and what do athletes do, and what should you consider doing is box breathing. And it's diaphragm work. And it is literally inhaling oxygen, sending the oxygen into the body. So when you've done this 3 exercises, that's what you literally can practice doing with them, doing 3 box breathing exercises. What's happening now is it's stimulating your blood flow, regulating your heartbeat, sending the oxygen flowing to the brain and to the body, and now you feel in balance again. There's no such thing as stress. The human creates it, and that is what is literally happening. So if you practice box breathing, hey, there's a situation right now, all I need to do, I have access, unlimited access to oxygen. There you go.
So would the count be 4, 4, 4?
So the slower, the better. When I do it, I can intake a lot, because I'm greedy. I take lots of oxygen, and it's a slow count of 4. And you hold it slow count of 4. Now the exhale, they say 4, 4, 8. The longer the exhale, because now you're removing those toxic cells, they're shifting out of you, the longer it can be, the better. And as soon as you've exhaled everything, you inhale again and hold it. It's oxygen.
Wow.
Stress doesn't exist. Frustration, panic, it's only lack of oxygen. When the brain says shut down, exactly like, you know, when you're on an airplane, you need oxygen to breathe. And when you can't breathe, You can't think.
Yeah.
You can't see properly.
Mhm.
You're disorientated. You're delusional. It's oxygen.
Wow.
And as long as we're in a place where we can breathe oxygen,
Mhm.
we can bring ourselves back to a place of balance at all times. So that, for you, being one of the most stressful things as a work, like as the overload,
Mhm.
practice that.
Yeah, because you know, we talk to aircrafts on a frequency,
Yes.
like
Mhm.
a more mainstream one that people can
But
understand.
still, you can't speak to another airplane on the same frequency. You're basically whatever frequency they're tuned into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a great analogy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, we speak to the pilots on the frequency, and the frequency gets very congested because so I work with all the aircraft that come in and out of the whole United Arab Emirates, whether they're landing, departing, or overflying. And I remember when I start to feel that, what I've noticed since I started my breath work, I've done breath work and meditation for around 2 years now. Maybe more, actually. I don't know, but all I know is the effects of it are great. And I noticed that there's a press to talk. So there's like literally like a little button, so I can press it. When I speak, the pilots can hear me. I unclip, and then they don't. So when I unclip and I'm waiting, or if a pilot said the wrong thing and I have to correct them, which happens, I just go.
Always breathe in the nose.
Oh, in the nose.
In the nose, out the mouth.
I'll add that now, because without realizing, I always did it from my mouth. And I noticed that when I can feel my student like panicking, or because I am an empath, and I realized I have to put on like a spiritual sleeve on myself before I go into work. And when I feel them starting to have this stress and anxiety, I just tap their chair and I'm like, breathe, stop speaking. And they're like, what? Okay,
so that is great. When you tell somebody what not to do, they will still focus on what they're not supposed to do. So this is the practice of the antithesis realignment. Is if whatever I said to you about being beautiful, you remember the one thing that you gravitate to. So you say this, okay, let's breathe together, because you're going to feel better in a second.
Okay.
You're now planting seeds. And they will think, oh, okay, it's Jedi mind trick. Okay. In a second, once you've done this breathing, you're going to feel a whole lot better. But if I said to you, listen, stop, because this is not going to make you feel very good. You're only going to connect to, this is not going to make me feel very good.
Oh, so tell them what you want them to hear.
Explain what you would like the result to be. Be in a relationship with the result, not what not to do. Because we're expanding on the whole healing process is to shift to what is healthier for you.
Oh, wow.
So that, I mean, it's great that you're aware of it, which is good. They're aware of it. But if you say, stop doing something, they'll say, okay, what should I do?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the tip that I give, and if anybody is into aviation here, so when I notice that as well, it does happen where you have to plan for what if something goes wrong, you know?
Worst case scenario, of course. And what is at the other end of worst case scenario?
Great scenarios.
Best case scenario. And that's where you have to operate from.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember specifically before a check that a student would have, where they're deciding if they're moving on to the next phase of their training or if they're going to fail at that check. They're like, what am I supposed to do? Panic comes. And I'm like, you need to take a moment and pause and say, I'm in control. And I realized that I didn't even realize I was doing
affirmation
with them. And then sometimes I even used to write them a note, and I'm like, I'm in control, and I keep it there. I'm like, remember, you're in charge, because you have an option as an instructor to take the frequency from them and speak, and they know with me, unless it's completely gone, I will not take it. So they know they have no one to rely on, because they're like, oh, Jouhayna, can you help with this? I'm like, no.
So that's the perfect definition of frequency. They can't understand you right now because they're not thinking straight.
Yeah.
So they just shifted away. Bring them back onto your frequency.
Exactly. So I tell them, I said, who's in control? You are? Yes. Get on it. Get the job done. Finish it off. And when they finish and they leave, they just come out as stronger controllers in the end, because they're reminded that you are in control, you got this, and you are going to have a lot of pilots calling you. And this all works really well with everything that we've been speaking about as an analogy and reality. But you will have a lot of pilots trying to say, speak to me first, work on me first. And you're like, no, I'm going to go. And I tell them, start your scan again and go one aircraft at a time on your radar screen and you're going to speak to them when you're ready, and you're going to speak to the ones who need priority first. And I feel like that also aligns with what people should do in life, is just take care of what needs to be taken care of. And there's a list of priorities, and, you know, tackle one at a time versus doing so many things at once, which I used to be guilty of that. I used to do so much.
But this is conscious work. What you're literally, your job itself is conscious work. So they are, when you get into a car, you literally subconsciously drive it. You're not thinking about driving a car, but you also not question whether you can.
Yeah.
You're consciously aware. So you're a perfect candidate for, well, this is, you operate from this place of an elevated awareness, and it's a choice to be in control. You lose control, then unfortunately, if you have students which cannot control them, then they can't be working in the field because it's a lot of responsibility. But you will find that 90% of everything that we do is subconscious. But what you're doing is staying, and it uses up a lot of energy. That's why I get tired in the evenings, because I'm operating from a very high conscious level. But when you're operating from a place of consciousness, you have to be in control at all times to have that. Are you capable of making decisions? Outside of subconscious, and then this is exactly what you're describing. And I love it, the fact that, you know, you never get into the airplane as a pilot and say, oh, I'm not sure how to do this today. You go into,
I got this,
autopilot, which is called the subconscious. So the subconscious knows what to do, because I've pushed that button 100 times, and now I'm just gonna obviously take off in the plane and with my backup. But if you're now trying to reach that pilot, like you said, on a frequency where they can't hear you, they might then come into a state of panic because you're stepping out of their subconscious mode. Like, no, but this is how we do it. Hold on. How can we navigate ourselves? How can we manage and maintain this modified way of thinking that I'm always in control?
True. Yeah, because the frequency is, pilots are, and even controllers, we're used to it being very busy. But I could be at sector capacity, which is having a couple aircraft on my frequency, and I have nothing else to tell them because I've already done what needs to be done. I've given them the instructions required, and now I have to watch and make it work. And pilots will go, hey, are you there? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still here.
Your voice.
Exactly. They just need that. They just need that reassurance, like, okay, we didn't lose the contact with air traffic. Why haven't we heard anything?
So your response is an affirmation.
Like, I'm here.
That's an affirmation.
Yeah, exactly.
Power.
Yeah.
I am here. That's enough.
Exactly.
Like when I touch someone.
Yeah.
I'm touching you. It's an affirmation. Oh, I feel better now. Okay, I didn't really do anything, though.
Yeah.
You think I did something.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
So you're literally operating from affirmations, everything you're doing. You're aware of people, you're in control of people. I am in control. I am watching, I am listening, I am speaking, I am breathing, I am watching, I am doing everything. It's all an affirmation. The moment you find yourself saying, I cannot do this, I'm not in control, step out.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Somebody else has to step in.
Yeah, exactly. That's
what you do. You know, it's perception. It's a choice. You are actually, when you said, I have this and I have this, well, why would you choose to have that?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I'm living by the principles that I'm trying to instill in the students that I've worked with as well. And then I notice how much it helps. And also what I love and I feel needs to be definitely spoken about is how much I learn from them.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. Like I sit there and I tell them, I'm like, you actually taught me a lot today.
I love that.
And it's just so nice. And they're like, oh, I didn't expect you to say that. And I'm like, I'm just being honest. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything. No, I don't.
No, it doesn't matter. My oldest client was 83 when she came to me. We are learning. I love that you said that because I learn from everyone. I will learn from someone I meet every single day. Every day we're always learning.
Exactly.
And that is good. You know, open to learning. You can't ever know everything. You can't. There's so many things to know. It's like when somebody said to me, I have nothing to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's always something to do.
Oh, yeah.
Or if somebody says, are you free? I'm like, oh, I'm always busy. Do you have any time? I do. I make it.
Yeah, exactly.
You make it always something to do. So
exactly.
I think it's wonderful that this is a reciprocal flow of let me learn. Let me learn.
Exactly.
From you, from them, from you, from them. Let me learn.
Yeah, and that's why I started this podcast as well. You know, I was in a time in my life where I felt I wasn't growing professionally. And I had a whole plan of like getting a promotion at work, and then that would get me out of shift work. And then I would work the weekend. And so I would study my master's degree on the weekends and work in the week. And I was looking forward to that at the time. And when that didn't work out, I had saved up for my master's. And I was like, now what? And I could have just, because I was already accepted into the program, it was just a matter of going to pay the tuition. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I am going to do something that creatively feeds my soul. But what is it going to be? And then I took a moment to meditate. And I did this for a period of time. And, you know, in school, the teachers would always say, oh, you talk so much. And I always used to joke, I'm like, wait and watch until what I make of that one day. You know, so when I talk to pilots at work, I have to speak to get an instruction across. Then I decided that I'm going to take the plunge and start a podcast. And at the time, I definitely didn't feel ready. I had this awful insecurity that was self-created that I'm like, because I was around 15 kilos bigger at the time. And I was like, oh, people are going to say I'm fat and that's so mean on the internet and, you know, trolls. Like I was actually scared of internet trolls.
You were inviting them.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I need to focus on what it is I want to create. So I noticed that I'm somebody that's always go, go, go. And that's why I call the podcast Press Pause, where we take a moment to press pause, have a conversation, and I connect with somebody and I learn something new from their expertise, their life story, and just take a moment with them. And I'm very selective of who I have on the show because I really take on a lot of energy, and it's an effort for me to glam up and look like this and, you know, set up the guys and come and they set up the cameras and you can see everything that's done in the background. So it was a moment for me to also give back the knowledge that I have from the people. So I would interview somebody. It's a recorded hangout. And then after that, whatever I've learned is not gate kept. It's actually shared with the world. And that's why when I was speaking to you, you're like, we need to share this message to everyone. And one of the things that you mentioned that really stood out to me when we hung out, because I have got a friend of mine who I met in comedy class, and she was refusing to mention that, oh, I'm going to do a stand-up set because what if I get evil eye? And I love what you said at breakfast about evil eye. So this is for my friend in comedy class. What is your take on evil eye? And for people who have that.
That's been stuck in my head as you were talking. It's just a little mantra for you.
Yeah.
I turned my voice into a choice.
Oh, I'm writing that down right now.
I turned my voice into a choice. In pink. So of course I've come across, I work with crystals. I work with crystal frequency. And one has healing, one has prosperity, one has health benefits, one has happiness, all these different benefits from working with crystals because they're a mineral after all. And then you have turquoise and chrysocolla and the evil eye, as people call it. And I realized that, oh my gosh, every single person that I meet and they say, oh, it's okay, I've got my evil eye ring on, I've got my evil eye necklace, and I have the evil eye in my house. And I would ask them all a question, why do you have the evil eye? It's to protect me from evil. And I just said, oh my gosh, do you understand what you're doing? You are inviting evil, not being protected, because when you have in your mind and your energy that I am safe, you won't have to have anything to protect you from evil. You're literally getting into a place in a position of, oh, I put this here because this will keep me safe. But you're projecting out that you're in harm's way. So I would say to people that, okay, what does this mean? Like I said to you, what does this mean? And you said, obviously, it's a sentimental value because my friend gave it to me, which I love. But if you have an evil eye in your house to protect you from evil, you are sending out an invitation for chaos and sadness and pain to show up. That is an invisible, you can't see it, but it's an energy invitation.
Yeah.
Have the crystal, see it as a decoration, not to protect you. I've put myself, like I said, everything I teach, I put myself to the test. So I had to put myself in a couple of situations. And I was in Kanchanaburi. Was it in Kanchanaburi? Yeah, in Thailand, with the tiger sanctuary. And I just love for tigers. since I was a little girl, I would draw tigers. That would be my go-to. I would do art. I would draw. I'm an artist. And I got to spend time with these tigers, and I was just like in my element. And they were sitting, I was taking photographs, and they said, oh, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't do this because, you can get attacked. I'm like, well, I won't. I'm safe. And I was laying down, and they were saying, you can't do this. I said, but I'm safe. The tigers can't pick up fear from me. Yeah. But if you program yourself to think like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen, the heartbeat is so loud, the animal will pick up on it. So if you are projecting out fear, the animal now thinks it has to protect itself, so it has to attack you. Yeah. Because fear is represented in the animal like it's dangerous. So that's what you're projecting out. And then I was in Holland, and very, very dangerous streets in Holland, and I won't mention the type of people that were there, but very dangerous people. And people will call me crazy because I would say, but I'm always safe. And I'm going to give you my comment that I say when I'm on an airplane, but I'm always safe. So I walked through these guys, and I was just fine. I was just like, and I could tell they were so confused. Like, why is she not afraid of us? Not, oh yeah, I feel it. Because people feel it. They feel the energy. If you're scared, people feel it. When I'm on an airplane, I say this every single time. As soon as I sit down, I say out loud, but not for everyone to hear, but I'm like, you're all safe. Why? Because I'm in a relationship with a result. I get there safe. So if I get there safe, so do you. Yeah. So whenever you're on an airplane with me, trust me, you reach your destination safe. If you're in a car with me, you're safe. If you're sitting with me, you're safe. It's the funniest thing. Even in Abu Dhabi the other day, I have this invisible orb around me. Like nothing can, there's no danger can't come in. And I'm walking out of Reem Mall, one of the malls, and I'm with my two friends, and I'm walking, and this car starts to drive towards me, and my whole body, it was like it just bent like this around the car, so the car couldn't hit me. Oh wow! It was almost like it hit the cushion, which pushed me. But the car was coming towards me, like literally there, and I stopped, and I was shocked, and I was like, "Hey!" But then I recognized how my body moved, and then when I was in Belgium, two guys were trying to be funny, and one pushed the guy into myself and my friend and another lady. This lady in the middle, very negative. And because this wouldn't normally happen if it's just me. Yeah. This boy had come and he pushed his friend into me. And it is a very surreal moment because I watched his friend, and I'm this side, I'm walking, I watched his friend fall and then just do this and fall the other direction. It was like he hit my invisible shield of safety. I've literally planted this inside of me. I am always safe. Yeah. So whatever is around me, I'm safe with it. But if you do project out that I'm not safe, I beg you to understand what you're inviting. Yeah.
Exactly. And, this reminds me of a moment in my childhood that I actually forgot about until you were speaking. So my mother is a veterinarian, and we had so many animals, especially in every recession we went through, were dumped on us in my mom's clinic. Yeah. And we had this huge farm where we were operating out of. And there was this Rottweiler who the owner came and dumped him. Can't remember his name. This happened with so many pets.
But I have the exact same story, but go on. Oh, this is amazing.
So this Rottweiler only liked the owner. That's it. And then he knew my mom to be his injector and vaccinator and no. And I was like, I'm going to vibe with this dog. Because I remember at the time, I just wasn't in a place where I felt very safe just in general. I was like a teenager and like, I don't know. I was just in a space where I just felt like I want a dog that I know can protect me. That's the feeling that I had. So
you needed protecting.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I was like, I just need to know that if I tell this dog to attack somebody who's coming for me, he can do that. So I go there was this huge, it was like a play area for the dogs, and we had them different sizes. So there's large dogs, medium dogs, and small dogs. So we put him so I went and took him into the large playpen. And I didn't really know that he's going to be aggressive. My mom was like, oh, just be careful, there's a Rottweiler. And there was him and 2 others. And I was like, oh, they all look the same. So I took this one out and I was like, oh, it's time for him to go for a walk. And my mom sees me and she's like, not that one. And I was like, it's fine. Hung out with him. We built our own bond. We were hanging out. Everything was all good. And then I remember there was one day that something just really pissed me off. Like, I was just angry. I took him out. I took him into his playpen where we were playing and I was training him. And I was so angry. And then I was shouting at somebody because I needed something and the farm was huge. And I don't know where my phone was. I don't know why I didn't make a call, but I just felt the need to shout. And because I was agitated, he's like, oh, it's time to attack you. So he literally came and he bit me. He jumped onto me and he bit me. And I have a scar like along with the backside of my body where he bit into me in 2 areas. And then because I make fun of everything, it suits a birthmark on my back as well. So now I'm even on both sides. And I remembered when my energy was off, this Rottweiler literally attacked me when he's known to be aggressive. And when I decided, we're good, we're going for a walk, I want to hang out with this dog and I want him to be like my protector, we were good. So what you put out really is what comes back to you.
Oh, but he wasn't attacking you. He was protecting himself.
Yeah.
That the dog barks at the unknown. This is so ironic. This whole story is just like blow my mind. And I thought, what? Because this is just how many stories can you have so much alike someone on this level? I used to work at the animal rescue center in Dubai. Not work at that. I was a foster carer. So I would go in and whenever there is a situation with a dog, there was a Rottweiler dumped off by its owner. And I thought, hold on a second, how is this tough story the same? Yeah. Dumped by its owner. And they called and they said, Dawn, no one can get close to this dog. Same thing as you've just demonstrated.
Yeah.
There's no fear. So I came in and he was mad. And I said, listen, I'm fine. So you want to have attitude with me? I'm still going to sit. You can do anything you like. Yeah. You could see his confusion, but until I took him to the vet, because my fostering was to take care of the sick ones and then bring them back to life and then find them homes. I took him to the vet and find out, like, he's mad at everybody because all of his neck and his ears were full of mites. So he's in pain.
So much pain. Oh, yeah.
He wasn't angry. He was in pain. But the same thing, he literally couldn't respond to me. The only reason the dog will lash out is to protect itself, not because it's threatened by you.
Yeah.
But of course, you have that territorial area as well where dogs do like to protect. But like you said, if you get a dog to protect you, you are inviting trouble to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right there.
100%.
But at least you understand now that the moment you're put into a situation where it could be detrimental to you, hold on, think about it. Think about it. You know, you're not going to put yourself in a place or you're at the top of a mountain and you need to get onto the other side. You're not going to jump. There's got to be a different way. It's about rationalizing your approach. And it's a great example. Animals will pick up. I always say, whenever I meet clients, they have animals or babies, always trust your baby or animal. Yeah. Because they always come up to me and I'm like, what? And they never come up. I'm like, yeah, because it's not that they're not gravitating to me as a person. They're just so drawn to, what is it about your peaceful energy? Yeah, exactly. Always trust your animals. Always trust. So I love that. But you were okay. And you have a story to tell.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I had a birthmark on... Yes, the birthmark's on my left side. And then the bite mark was identical smack on the right.
Oh, you're in synergy now.
No, I'm symmetrical now. Yeah. And my mom, like, when my mom saw it, she's like, well, at least now you're even. I was like, okay.
I am even. You probably bit someone another time when you didn't realize it, and that's your karma. That's your payback.
Yeah, exactly. It came right back. Yeah. So also, the final question I wanted to ask you about the work that you do is when I was telling my friend about you and like the moments I had with you at breakfast, because there were so many people around us, and you mentioned something to me about like my ex-husband's energy, and you're like, okay, I'm going to take that away. And then I was telling my friend Sarah about this, and she's like, that doesn't sound very halal. And I was like, Cool. And then even when we're actually going to have a session after we're done rolling today, because I wanted to do this with you in person and you said you had the time. So I have no idea what to expect later. I just know that I'm excited to go on this journey with you. But for anybody who has that question of, is the work that you do halal, can you just explain that to people who have that concern?
So the human body is made up of subatomic cells, matter. It's metaphysical, it's quantum entanglement. We are just made up of atoms. So you have, as we've just been talking about, negative energy, and that will congregate in the system, which is then suppressed. And that's what stress is. That's what anxiety is. That's what sadness is. When something has just happened right now and you're upset by it, it is not what just happened. It's a trigger connected to the atoms in the system. So when I say that I connect to that energy, we just, like a magnet, we draw it out. So by accessing the consciousness, by tapping into this frequency of, okay, this is unhealthy. It's like basically a dead plant. You wouldn't keep watering a dead plant. You would take out the dead parts and you would replant it with fresh seeds. So with energy, we just bring out in a state of awareness through the body, through gravitation. And this is why you'll pee a lot. This is why you might get headaches. This is why you might feel anxiety. It's nothing dangerous. I'm not touching you. It's nothing witchy or spiritual. It's energy. And as you draw out the sickness, just like a doctor would, they will remove the problem. They will remove the problem. That's what we can do in energy. So we draw out, like the magnetization with the synergy of atoms. Like everything is atoms. Everything that you see now used to be nothing. We're tangible. So when you can connect to the tangible energy of the problem and you understand what the problem needs to go and replace it with the solution and the happiness, that's where we can just say, okay, we're going to go, like you do at work. I see a problem. That's tapping into an energy. You're now going to remove it from them. But I can draw it just by sitting next to you. If I come next to you, suddenly you'll get a headache. It's like, oh, it's because it wants to come out of you. It's like, oh no, I feel such positive energy next to you that it's affecting me. Yes, that's an empath.
Yeah. We
connect to the negative energy, we suck it out of you energetically, and you're replaced with this light feeling, right? How you will feel after your session. You will feel exhausted because your cells, what I'm talking about cells, your cells are like shifting. Like I referred earlier, I allowed my cells, the subatomic particles in my body, even though I should have been dead, I allowed my cells to believe they were healthy. And at that point, we have to now work on removing the sickness, removing the dead cells, removing the dead plant, so we can do that through gravity. We can do that through energy. We can do that through energetics. It is literally like, you've probably heard about it. The only difference between ice and water is vibration. And when you talk to a glass of water, you speak nicely to it and you speak horrible to it and you put it in the freezer, the results will be very, very different in approach. Frequency language, vibration. So when I sit with somebody and they are sick, I knew this when I was a child because I could draw out this sickness and suddenly it comes through me and I'm like, oh, you can go now. Yeah. It's just atoms. Well, not just, I mean, we're all made up of atoms. That's what the tangible human is. We're pieces of the creator. We are one with the source. We're part of the universe. We're part of all the God. We're all made up of one. When you can operate from a no limit place or have access to healing at all times and people think that they do not, that's where I come in. I'll either remind you consciously or mentally or ask you to tap into the physical side and let all those toxic cells, those limited beliefs, those suppressed energies, those traumatic moments that happened to be released. Does that make it a little bit clearer? Yeah, because for me it's like easy to understand because I operate from that. But,
and thank you for sharing everything that you've shared.
I would say it's safe. People think, oh, is she doing something? No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not even touching you. It's just this energy. It's safe.
Well, that's good to know. And I'll be experiencing it later today. So
Yeah.
I'll see how I feel afterwards and maybe even do a vlog about it, which people can tune into. But is there anything that you feel like we haven't covered that you would like to share with anyone before we wrap this episode up?
I'd like to give you a very, very short story of a female that basically understood years later in life how those suppressed emotions had caused her problems many, many times over. So in any relationship she was in, it would last 2 years. It would literally only last 2 years. And right before the 2-year period, she would create drama, chaos. She would find blame. She would be in moments of despair. She would literally find excuses as to why she had to leave. So every 2 years, she would start a new relationship until she established that it was all connected to the triggers that she had suppressed in her system, because when she was 2, her biological father and biological brother left her. So in her heart, two males left her, like male energy left her, and her heart was just left, and her biological mother would just leave her in the house by herself all day. So she was alone. So she had programmed herself subconsciously to avoid being heartbroken every 2 years. So she would subconsciously create chaos. So she would never be hurt again. And so once she found out that, oh my gosh, this is a repeat, now we need to go into that version of me back to when I was 2 years old. It's me. It's my story. This is how I know it so well. I had to go back and say, hold on, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for thinking that I wasn't loved. I forgive myself for thinking that I wasn't deserving of male love. I forgive myself for creating chaos for the guys, because I really did. I caused hurt, pain, but I didn't realize why I was doing it. And once you realize why you're doing it and you get to be at peace with it, that's gone forever. And like I said, principle is the same in business. If you have been surrounded with people who didn't believe that they were worthy of success or happiness, that's generational programming. In health, people are sick because they believe they're sick, and it's because they've been around sick people. It's just programmed. Once you can tap in to the root cause of the problem, you're now on your road to healing and recovery and success and happiness and health. Health is wealth. Everything is health. So you put your health first. You really do consider going into the painful past and healing from all those versions of yourself that you had to create in order to survive.
Oh, totally.
So yeah, that was just a very short, long story that I wanted to share, because there's always people out there. Why do I do what I do? Because I was abandoned when I was 2, left in the house by myself for a year. I mean, she would come back in the evening, but it taught me resilience. It taught me how to manage to be by myself. Then I was physically abused by my biological father and his wife, beaten. I watched my brothers get beaten, which I also carried as an empath. Watching my brother get beaten so badly, and animals getting beaten, it's like, this is horrible. And then being sexually abused by somebody that was friends with family members, and being told that if you tell anyone, you're going to get into trouble. It's your fault. So I thought it was my fault for all those years that I'd asked for it, until I realized, no. How can a 13-year-old girl and a 58-year-old man, there's no comparison. And then the sickness, forgiving my body, going into a place that I understand I wasn't meant to have children. It's okay. I'm at peace with that now.
Yeah.
And being the living proof that whatever is happening to you guys, there is a way, there is a solution to get through it. There is a way to get over it, but it is to go and face it.
You have to face it. I couldn't agree more.
Once you go and heal from all the wounds which you have suppressed and trapped and tried to keep hidden away from anyone, you will feel like an angel. You will feel like flying.
Mm.
You will feel like floating. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
You will experience a little bit of that today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Even though you've already done a lot of work. So
yeah, exactly. I feel like when I met you as well, I almost wasn't going to go to breakfast. Like, I was excited to see the girls, and I was telling you this before we started rolling. I was like, oh, well, if there's an overtime shift, I'd take that, and I'd show up either really tired or tell the girls I'd meet them at a different time. And I'm really happy I decided not to take the overtime at work and go to the breakfast, because I've been doing a lot of work with my life coach to heal a lot of my past traumas. And then my latest trauma was with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
And then when I met you and we were speaking and everything, I was like, oh, I really just vibe with you. And when you said, okay, we set a date and time before you travel. And then
what was that date and time?
It's the 11th of April at 11 a.m.
11.
And, I wasn't thinking about 11. I was just like, this is the date that I'm available for you, in the morning. So it was just aligning. And then when I was researching you, we got on a call, and then I got to know your vibe, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make notes, even though my cue card is quite empty, because we both agreed. We're just like, we're just going to vibe. We're going to angel wing it. But when I was looking at all the work that you do, I was like, oh, this actually really aligns. And then when I was speaking to my friend this morning, we were on the phone, and I was like, oh, I'm really excited for Dawn. And she was saying, she's like, every Dawn I've ever met is so nice. And that was literally like one of the things she was saying. And then there was another name, and I won't mention it, but she was like, anybody with that specific name is not that great, but I've always met an amazing Dawn. And I'm like, awesome.
That's a programming, though. That's a programming. So that is something that's triggering her connected to that name. So she can go to the root of why is she triggered by that name, because she'll meet people with that name and they won't be, but her suppressed trigger will kick off, and she'll feel automatically just dismissed and be like, no, I'm good, thank you. But she might realize that they're really nice people and miss out on an opportunity.
Yeah, that's so true. And with all the work that I've been doing with my life coach, it's been very powerful. And I've had so many light bulb moments, revolutionary moments where I'm growing so much, and now I'm self problem solving. So if something happens, I notice the trigger, I'm like, right, where is this coming from? Versus choosing to come out with anything negative. I just go inwards, and I'm just so proud of the work I've done. And I feel like with all the work I'm already doing, you showed up at the right time when you're in town and I'm off to go to a breakfast event, to be like, oh wow, well, here we are, let's do this. And then you were like, okay, I have time for a session after. Would you like to do that? And I'm like, yes. So when you sent me your bio this morning, it was while I was speaking to my friend, and I sent it to her. And she's like, oh, this is like the work you're already doing with your coach, but on steroids. I'm like, I cannot wait.
Steroids, but still,
yeah, that's what
it is next level. I love and I support any healer, anybody intentionally doing the work. I love it. I'm supporting it. The work that I do is very instant. It's like I wish to see people heal quickly. But it doesn't mean that you have to just do it one time and that's it. It is a practice. It is like a language practice. And that's why when I've done 2 or 3 sessions, because I do antithesis realignment, I do deep state realignment, which means the deep state is where we take you into meditation and you go into the subconscious and we start to address the subconscious. And when I do both of those, it has an impact on people. But then once I feel that they've evolved, I like to be their mentor, because I need to keep them accountable, because it is now about a practice. And I say to some people, my work here is done. And I've watched some people in 6 hours change. A hypochondriac I saw a few weeks ago. She came and she was like, no, I'm this. We did a 3-hour session one day. We did a 3-hour session the next day. And she was like, I can't believe that I have programmed myself for all these years. Now she's not, and that was in 6 hours. And I was like, so I'm never, I'm always blown away. I'm always excited when, like, a client I saw just the other day, and she was like, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. This is amazing. I am like floating. And she had perceived so many things about herself which she didn't recognize. And all she did was recondition her consciousness, which preconditioned her subconscious triggers. That's what I do.
Wow.
And I love it. And I love the results. I love to see people change because of it. And I see people sometimes, I see the cells shifting in the face. Like I'm watching and I'm like, oh my gosh, your face is literally changing in front of me.
Wow.
Because your healthy cells are going, yay, let's party in the face.
Oh, wow.
And you see it. You see people glow. Like, you know, when you said earlier, your colleagues would say your face is all flushed because blood is now being pumped to the face.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. As cells are shifting, the blood are cells.
Yeah.
And that's what I see. So it's so rewarding. It's so much of a blessing that I get to do what I do, and I do it with love.
And if somebody wants to work with you, how can they reach out to you?
The forms of communication: Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, email, website.
Okay. So I'll keep a link to your social media accounts and your website and your email in the description.
All of them.
For anybody who wants to tune in and reach out to you. The
easiest thing, I think the thing is because of, I do check my message requests in Instagram because there's always a hidden part where a lot of people who have not interacted with me, they go in there. So it is actually easy to do it through Instagram because sometimes emails are not going through. WhatsApps, who knows which WhatsApp I'm on, where it depends on where I am. And of course I do in-person and virtual sessions. It's when I realized that I could, it was just as powerful doing virtual sessions as it was to do in-person sessions. I was like, this is amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. So easy to get in contact with me. My brother actually lost contact with me for a long time because of a situation, which I forgive him for, and I love him. And he said, Gerald, I couldn't find you. I said, listen, you put Dawn Appel in Google. Oh, I come up.
Yeah.
I will come up there. I cannot escape. I'm right there. So put Dawn Appel into Google and you'll find me.
Yeah.
AIAmotivation.com is my website.
Okay.
My company.
Well, thank you for sharing all that you've shared. Thank you for taking the time in your busy schedule while you're in town to educate people, to share your experience, and to share such a thing about yourself so vulnerably on the show. So thank you for taking that moment and that time. And I'm grateful you felt this was a safe enough space to do that. So that means a lot.
Because I'm always safe.
You are always safe.
And it means
now
you're
my whole
safe.
House is safe.
Everyone's safe.
Exactly.
No, it's my pleasure, really. I love how our energies have literally divinely been guided to each other.
Yeah, me too.
And it's forever now.
Yeah.
You have no escape.
I'm so excited for my no escape and safeness.
You're in there for life. I always say to people, listen, once you have got in and I have touched you, that's it. Yeah, I can connect to you from anywhere in the world, and I can pick up on you. I'd be like, oh, hold on a second, like I have with many people. I'm like, oh, I feel something, so I'll just message you.
That's what happens to me a lot, and sometimes it's a positive and sometimes it's a negative experience somebody is going through. So I'll just be like, hey, I'm really happy for you. They're like, how did you know? I'm like, I can't explain it. I just know.
Empaths. It's in energy language. That's what energy is.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
January 7th.
Yeah. So depending on where you were aligned with the planets will depict on your empathic abilities, because people who are predominantly Cancerians, let's say, they have the strongest empathic psychic abilities. Literally, we are able to connect to things, but there's only 2% empaths in the world. You know that?
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, out of 8 billion people. It doesn't sound like very much when you say 2%, but we as empaths are now light workers and teaching people how to alleviate themselves of the stress that they created. So actually the empaths are expanding and the light workers are growing as well. So being an empath, you're going to be picking up on things at all times. And the more you open up, the more you will. The importance is the question people have, how do you manage it when you're around negative environments? I learned a study that during my sessions, as you will see if there's anything there, how to get rid of it immediately. Because trust me, I held people's energies in for a long time and I didn't know what to do with it. One time I was silent for 24 hours. I couldn't speak. And other time I would sit and I ate all this junk food and I didn't know where it came from. It was other people's energy. So it's really important that you know to let it go and release yourself of it, because you are.
So how would you do that? Is it
I'm
just
not going to
take a
tell you right
moment?
now.
Oh, really? Okay, all right.
You only,
Secret.
you only get to see that when we're in session.
Oh, okay, all right.
So otherwise, I'll give everything away.
Yeah, that's very
But,
true. So
come to me if you wish to learn. If you're on
Mhm.
Empath, connect to me on my Instagram, which is New Dawn. Very
Yes.
easy. And do the work, and it's very, very easy. Actually, it's so easy to release it, and I'm going to teach this to you during our session.
Oh, amazing. So I think it's a great way to end this segment of the episode. It was more educational, more than Dawn's life story, which is what I like to call a microbiography. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, please leave them for us in the comment section below. And stay tuned for next week. Here's a sneak peek for next week.